And let me just kind of give you a background about what Communique for Amazon is, okay? So essentially what Communique for Amazon does is four main things. One, it helps you out with your settlements and accounting. Two, order reconciliation. Three, gross margin and profitability. And lastly, product replenishment. Now, those are four core areas. I mean, there are a lot of other things that we do too, but those are the four things that, most people are interested in, is being able to understand, I just got paid $60,000 last month. I earned $100,000. Where'd that 40 grand go? People ask that question all the time. So we help out with that kind of visibility and transparency. The other thing we do is gross margins, profitability. We incorporate fees and cost of goods, so we can show you what your profitability is for items that you're selling on Amazon, whether it be merchant listed, FBA, doesn't matter. And then the last core thing is product replenishment. Help you figure out what the proper stocking levels are for FBA or your merchant listed, and to make sure that you get those things there on time so that you don't run out. Okay, so talking to Mike, he said you're the guy that basically handles all the FBA stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have a ton of listings now, and I'm doing a pretty decent job of maintaining everything. But if I could use another tool, I'm totally open to it, and
okay.
Willing to use another tool. So I think that's why I'm here with you today.
Okay. So Pablo, tell me, are there any particular pain points you have with Amazon?
I think a lot of it is all their technicalities, their rules, their regulations. As far as keeping our inventory, our shelves at FBA stocked, don't tend to have much of a problem with it. It's just that our inventory has grown so much, so it is a little overwhelming at times. So,
how many units are you? I mean, not units, but how many products are you selling? Separate products, roughly. How many listings do you have?
Roughly at FBA,
yeah,
over 400, close to 500.
Okay. So it is going to be kind of hard when you have that many to be able to say, okay, how much more do we need to send? When do we need to send it? That sort of thing. And, unless you're using some sophisticated tools to figure out, here are my fees, these are my costs, this is what I'm selling the product for, what are my margins? I mean, unless you have some sophisticated tools, it's hard to figure it out with that many. I mean, obviously, if you're selling just a couple of products, 2 or 3 or even 10, it may not be too hard to keep track of that. Although I might argue that it could be, but it may not be too hard to keep track of that. But when you start getting up to that kind of number that you're at right now, Pablo, I mean, it's overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it gets a little overwhelming. Sometimes it's random, but one product will blow up, and from one day to the next, and I'm like, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to send like another 100 or 200 of these, and there's no rhyme or reason why. It's just random. Why this customer or these 2 customers in North Dakota and California ordered this many. It's kind of susceptible to that.
Yeah, and the thing, the problem you run into is that when you have those spikes in sales like that, it can, skew your sales velocity, all right? So we offer a couple of ways to be able to help solve that kind of thing. So I tell you what, let's do this. Since we're talking about product replenishment, let's just go look at that first, okay? So as you can see, the main screen you're looking at right here is basically the dashboard. And the dashboard will, show you various different metrics, okay? So like, for example, these are sales up here at the top, and you can right mouse click configure it and select different options, for example, okay? Same thing is true. We got refunds here, shipping summary, fulfillments, and then a whole slew of other dashboards down here. So it kind of gives you a pulse as to what's going on, various different aspects of your business, all right? All right, so we'll go to the FBA section, and there's the only difference between the product section and the FBA section is the FBA section, we pre-filter FBA only. So, if you were to go to the product section, you can see FBA and merchant listed, but on the FBA, we do specifically FBA. The reason why is because that way you don't have to remember what filters you use. All right, if all you want to do is work with FBA, okay?
All right, cool.
So so basically, let's do this. So what I want to do is I want to go show you a couple of the reports. Like for example, this one is called Out of Stock with Sale, and so we're going to look at say the last 30 days. So what this will show you is a list of all products that you've had sales in the last 30 days and are currently out of stock. And the reason why this report like here is interesting or useful is because obviously if you had sales in the last 30 days and you're currently out of stock, then this is kind of a high priority. Figure out, okay, if I'm out of stock, I need to look at these and see what I can do by getting them in stock.
Okay.
And the reason being obviously is with Amazon in particular, even most markets, if you're out of stock, you don't sell. That means if you're competing with someone else on a product and you go out of stock, you're not even on a listing anymore. Your competitor's selling, so that becomes a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, so this will be one report, and another one I will show you here. We got what's called a product replenishment report, and with a product replenishment report, we can look at what needs to be replenished at Amazon for FBA. Now, I kind of did this pretty quickly, but you do have some input parameters you can use, like, for example, days, the number of days stocking level you want to keep, supply lead days, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So basically what we've done here, I'll just go back and just show you, because I was doing that kind of quick. But here, supply days means that, by default, we want to keep 30 days of supply on hand all times, all right? Lead days.
That's what we want to.
You want to keep 30 days. Okay, so by default, it's set to 30 days, okay? You can actually change it to whatever number you want, all right? And an example might be, I'll give you a good example. Let's say you have seasonal sales for certain products, right?
Okay.
And you're coming into Christmas, and you say, you know what, I don't want to risk running out during Christmas, because if I do, I won't get anything from my supplier. So let me go ahead and order 60 days now. So what would it look like if I put 60 days supply? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some advantage to being able to change those numbers, okay? All right, so at this point, we've done that, and that's what we're looking at 30-day supply, and we're looking back at the last 90 days of sales and put a through date here of today, okay? Which, by the way, you can change this number to whatever number you want. It could be 90, it could be 30, it could be 180, it doesn't matter, okay? And if you want to look at your sales, you can actually change the through date to the end of last year and project forward to this year, okay? So it's also very possible to do that, okay? So I'll show you a couple more things here. If you notice these items here in red,
Yeah.
what these represent are high priorities, your priority levels. And how we determine those is we look at your time on hand, okay? So this one right here has a time on hand of 0 days, okay? That probably means because you are currently out of stock. So how we do this on this additional tab is we put a range here. From 1 to 21, it's red. From 22 to 30, it's yellow. And anything above that is white. So what none will mean basically is that the recommended order is 0, and overstock means that you have more than what you actually need for that period of time. So it's a way of being able to figure out what priorities you need. So in this example here, we can come over here and say, let's get a list of all high priorities first. So we filter down. This is all you have right here. So obviously if it's a high priority, that means you're going to be out of stock in 21 days or less with the product. So these are the ones you need to fill first. So having seen this, let's go over and figure out what these numbers mean. So we're looking at, number of units sold. We're looking at velocity, number of lead days you have. And what it's telling you for this particular item is that you need to order 72 more. You have 12 on hand currently. We do keep track of what you have in transit to Amazon, what you currently have at Amazon, and what's been designated as reserve. I'll show you one of these examples there in the bottom. So basically, you currently have 12 available for sale, or not. I take that back. You already have 12. They're in transit, not reserve, not FBA. So basically, they haven't arrived, but you've already sent 12. So you don't really need to account for these. So looking over here, our recommended stocking level for the inputs is 84. But you already have 12 on the way, so you need to reorder 72.
I need to send 72 more units.
Yeah, if you want to maintain the 30-day supply, sure.
Okay.
That's what you need to do. Because see, your current time on hand is 6 days.
Okay.
So obviously you're 24 days shy of 30. So this will help cover those 24 additional days.
Okay.
And then your recommended reorder point is 28, meaning that once you hit 28 units on this, you need to reorder more, because if you don't, then you'll run out of stock and you won't have product on hand to be able to sell for the whole 30 days. See how that works?
Yeah, I see how it works. Question regarding the 28. So that's telling me when the quantity at FBA reaches 28.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. So right. So when you look at this quantity total right here, let me just show you another option. We include quantity in transit, quantity in reserve. Now, if I go and remove these, that number will change because we're no longer taking this into account. So what this does, it tells you that when your total quantity here it hits 28, then you should reorder more. Because obviously if you have some in reserve and you have some in transit, then that's already on the way or either at FBA or on the way to FBA, okay? You don't really need to order or reorder those. That's why this column right here, recommended order, says 72, because you already have 12 on the way. I mean, if you had 0 on the way, we'd recommend ordering 84. And if you had 20 on the way, we would say, hey, order 64. So that's kind of how that works, all right? So, I mean, it's not that hard, is it? I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward. I mean, the report actually takes care of all the hard calculating for you.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, so in this example right here, let's go down to this one right here. So your current quantity on hand at FBA, ready or available for sale, is 1. In transit, what you sent to them is 31, and that means that your quantity total is 32.
Right.
Your time on hand is 1. That means you got 1 more day and you're out. Okay. And so what we're saying here basically is that you should reorder 10 and send it to FBA, and you should maintain a level of 42 total. And when your product hits 15, that's when you should reorder and send some to FBA.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely like that. I like that information.
Well, it's pretty simple and straightforward, so you can actually look at this to see what you need to order and based on priorities. So now the next thing we do is we can say take off the high priorities. Let's go to the low priority, not lows, I'm sorry, moderates, because that's the next group that you want to get to. Okay. And so what this tells you is when you look at your time on hand, your time on hand is greater than 21 but less than 30 or at 30. You see that? So that means basically that you will be out of stock with this product before 30 days are out.
Okay.
Whereas the red ones, you'll be out of stock before 21 days are out. Of course, the actual number is in there. It tells you how many more days you have remaining, but generally that's the range. Right. 0 to 21, 22 to 30. You can change that range to whatever you want. So this will be the next group that you would work on, and then you would send this in to FBA after you get done doing the high priorities. And then all the other ones after that you really don't have to worry about because you either have enough for 30 days or you have more than enough for 30. All right, so any particular question there?
No, this is all, I'm downloading all of this into my brain. I'm understanding.
Okay, good. Well, we do have some videos online and webinars and stuff like that, so that you can take a look at that. And we also have online web help. Let's see, we got one for this part. We got more we have to do. We do have reports here, and then we do have a video you can click on, go look at videos. There you go. Now, speaking of product ranking, we can go look at that report next. That's a very useful report. It's a report you don't have to run every day. Your replenishment report, you may do it, say, look, I want to replenish once a week, send everything out. That's fine, or you can do it every day. I mean, it just really depends on how you want to do or spread out your workload, right? All right, so, but this product ranking report, I mean, it isn't very useful to you running it more than, every day. It's not. But it's something you may want to run every couple of weeks or once a month or so. The reason being is because what this does, it will compare every product against every other product and show you what the performance is of each product against every other product you have in your inventory. Okay. And why is that important? Well, because, the old 80-20 rule, about 20% of your products make up 80% of your profit. And, there's going to be the next 15% and the next 5%, and there's going to be a slew of products that don't even rank in the top 100%. And you really need to take a close look at those that don't even rank in the top 100% to find out if you even want to continue to carry the product or, if you need to make some adjustments to the product so that it moves up the ranking a little bit.
Yeah, we're doing storage fees right now on our low selling items. Yeah, we're working on either reducing the price on it, some sort of ad blitz on it, or just requesting that they be sent back altogether. We haven't decided. Well, I think Mike is going to lower the price and do some more product advertising on these low selling items, but
right.
Yeah, all because of the storage fees that accumulate at Amazon.
Well, that's it, right. And so as I had explained to you, I mean, that's an important point, and that's why a product ranking report comes in very handy. Right. So, I mean, you're looking at this right here, and so we're looking at this is sales rank. So how does it rank in sales? It ranks in the top 80%. How does it rank in profit? Top 80%. That's why it gets an A. Cost, top 80%, that's why it gets an A. And hits, meaning the number of orders shows up, not the number of units sold, but rather the number of orders that shows up. It also gets an A, which means the top 80%. Here, this next item is in the bottom 5%, and that's why it gets a C as far as sales go. But it's profitable, and it shows up in the next 15% is the reason why it gets a B. But when you look at cost and hits, they're all C's. So really the key here is that you want to evaluate certainly the ones that are C's, but also the ones that are X's. So this one X all the way across the board means that it didn't even rank in the top 100% of sales, profit, costs, or even hits. So this would be an item that you would have to look at and say, well, I mean, it's sitting out there at Amazon. Well, in the case of this, let's see what the quantity on hand is. Quantity on hand is 0, so you don't actually have it out there. It's 0. But it represents no sales, no profit, no cost, or, not within the 100% zone. So this is a product you might want to look at, probably not selling, not listing, whatever the case may be. So what I can do is I can say, well, let's sort by this column here, and then we get all the X's together, and then let's sort with the total quantity FBA. And so, okay, so we did that. All right, so really what we want to do is we want to see something like that, okay? We want something like that's important. And quite frankly, those items that you're talking about, without knowing, the particulars and, seeing your data, I can't say for sure. But, this would be an example of where you have, quantity of 64 at FBA, for example, and you look at this right here, it's got X's all the way across the board. It's doing nothing for you. This one, again, 46 units at FBA, it's doing nothing for you. 37, 35. So using a report like this can help identify poor performing products so you can make better decisions, as you just mentioned. I mean, do we do more product ads, or do we have it sent back, or do we just tell Amazon to get rid of it, liquidate it, remove from storage? So a report like this will help you identify what those are. And like I said, I mean, it's not a report you need to run every day, or not even once a week, but I think periodically, like once a month or so, maybe once every couple of weeks, you run the report. You kind of see what the performance is of all the products. Yeah, it's a product ranking. It's very important. It's very useful. All right, so let's look at a couple others. So this is a good report to look at. Slow movers by date. So we're going to look at the last 90 days of sales and say, okay, give me a list of all products have sold in the past, but have not sold in the last 90 days. Found 123. So if you look at this right here, you say, okay, for some reason, these products haven't sold in the last 90 days. And that represents $7,400 of inventory value. So you have $7,400 worth of inventory sitting out there at FBA that hasn't sold in the last 90 days. Again, that's a lot of money, right? So we can actually come back here and say, well, let's look at the last 180 days, which is 6 months. Okay, with no sales in the last 180 days. So if you want to go back further in time, you can say, well, they hasn't had a sale in 6 months. Well, that number is different. In other words, the 90 days, they had some products, between, let's say, 180 and 91. They had some sales, but prior to 180, these are ones with no sales.
Right.
So these are probably even more critical, meaning that, there's $300 worth of inventory sitting out there that hasn't even sold in the last 6 months, which probably also means to Pablo that you're going to get hit for storage fees on this thing, because I know they evaluate that every 90 days, and then they do cleanouts. I think they have 2 dates that they do that by. And so knowing what you have sitting out there, how much inventory value you have, and knowing, this kind of information becomes very important for you to figure out what you're going to do with these items. So remember, you've had sales, okay, but you haven't had sales in the last 6 months for these items. So, that tells me you need to really take a close look at this.
Yeah, these are all items that are collecting storage fees.
Yeah, no, that's right, and they're doing nothing for you. If nothing else, you can liquidate this, at cost, for example, or a little bit above cost. Take that money and put it into product that is selling for you. Because if you're not careful, I mean, this does affect cash flow. If you have product sitting out there is not selling, I mean, that's cost you something to put it out there. Plus, it costs you something to store it and all that other good stuff. That's just eating up your money.
Yeah.
Sure. Which in turn eats up your profit, right? Okay, so let's look at a couple other reports. This is a product restocking. It's a little bit different than product replenishment, and I'll tell you why, because you kind of brought something up earlier that this report could really help you with. We do what here we call velocity weighting. Okay. So what you can do is you can actually allocate the importance or value of each period. You can say, well, in this example, we have 100% weighted towards 90 days. Okay. So it looks at the whole 90-day period and weighs the velocity at 100%. But what you could do is you can come back and say, well, let's weigh 180 days at 10%, let's weigh 90 days at 20%, so on and so forth. That way, it kind of helps smooth out any spikes you might have in that period. So basically, you're saying that in the last 90 days, if you had one little spike during that period, well, we're looking back 100% of 90 days, it takes into account and weighs it 100%. But if you have a spike there and it's in the zone where you're only evaluating, say, 20% or 30%, then it lessens the impact of that large sale has. that one-time sale. So you can actually look at this and decide and say, okay, if I'm doing, weighted sales, which periods should I, weigh and how much should I weigh?
Apply this to every item in my inventory or certain products?
No. When you do the search, it applies to everything you're returning. So whether you filter by supplier or filter by categories or whatever, it doesn't matter. These and the values are applied, evenly across all products that show up in the result. If you want to segregate certain products, then you can put them into, categories and things like that, and filter by those, and then use those and apply different weightings to them. You can do that. Shows you another type of product replenishment we have, which allows you to do the weighting and stuff like that, which could give you more precise numbers depending on how you guys replenish. Right. And how the vagaries of your sales, so to speak. So let me go show you another important report over here in the sales section, because this is something you'll find very useful. So let's look back last 30 days, look at sales. So these are all product sales in the last 30 days. And the reason why I want to look at the last product days for the last 30 days is we want to look at profitability and gross margins. So looking at this, what I'll do is I'm going to just show you a couple features here. So what you're looking at here is the total revenue for all the sales for the SKU in the last 30 days. Okay. Here's the cost of goods, all right? Ship cost of any. These are the total fees to sell this product. Yeah, at Amazon, and that would be the fee percent. So we're taking the total fees by the revenue, coming up with 20%. Your average fee per sale is $7.18. So every time you sell one of these, it'll cost you $7.18. Looks like we had 2 units sold. There you go. So that's average fees. And then your gross margin is $6.62 for the product that was sold, and your gross margin percent is 9.21. So as you can see, this is a really useful tool, being able to analyze products and sales. Yeah. Another feature you can do here, you can come over here and scroll like this. I just sorted by the gross margin percent column. So what that's showing you, obviously all these in red are a problem because you're losing money on each sale. Yeah, so it gives you an opportunity to look and find out why. So an example might be, let's look at this right here. Total sale would be $614.29. Your COGS is $299. Wow, your fees are $562.48. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But it can happen. Look, I'll show you. Let me just show you here. Let's go to FBA fee preview. We'll just look at these right here. So this is a list of all your FBA items, and these are the estimates that Amazon gives for the fees. And then what we do is we take your settlements, we pull those in, and we give you the actual so you can compare side by side. So let's see. Let's go back and look at this product, because that's FBA. So we'll just go back and see if there are any issues here that we need to concern ourselves with. So we've looked at this particular SKU here, and we're looking at, so total fees that are estimated is $13.11, which doesn't sound too bad, right? But remember now, $25.58, okay? So we need to look here and figure out why. Well, that's why right there. We're charging you, weight-based fee of $5.18. Pick and pack fee, $4.09, and unit fee of $3.84. So the unit fee typically would be the commission. So for selling each unit, they charge you this commission, so it's $3.84. That generally works out to about 15%. But they're charging a pick pack fee, and then they're charging a weight fee, which if you look at this right here is over $9. Okay, so $9, a little over $9 of that total fee of $13.11 is going to pick, pack, and weight-based fee. So what winds up happening here is that if you look at the fee percent, they're estimating total fees of $13.11, fees percent at $51.25. But the average fee for each sale is actually $26.95, and your average fee percent is $105.35. So if you look at the price you're selling it for, and you look at the cost, let's look at the gross cost. So what the gross cost would be your cost of goods plus your fees. That comes out to $26.11. And so what happens here is that your price of $25.58 is not even enough to cover all that. That's why your gross margin is minus 0.53 and your percent is minus 0.207. Yeah, so that helps you give you some analysis and figure out what's going on. So essentially, the average fee is $26.95. That's pretty high. And so essentially, what the $13.11 plus this right here. So we're only basing the gross cost on the estimate, not the actual average. So if you look at the average fees, it's even higher than that, because the average fees by themselves is $26.95 plus the cost of goods for a product is another $13. That actually puts you at $39.65. In other words, every time you've been selling one of these, it's been costing you $39.65. And your selling price is $25.58, so you're basically, $11 in the hole every time you sell one of these.
Yeah, not good. So
no, that's not good. Now, Obviously, if you're pricing it too low, situations like this can happen. Or if you're getting a weight-based fee or oversized fee or whatever the case may be, size tier. So part of the pick-pack fee is because it's oversized small. And the other part of the fee, weight fee, is because of the weight. So that you see how this kind of coincides with this other report back here, product sales by date. So you're able to come and look at this this SKU and say, tell me why. I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, the fees are so high. Well, the reality of it is because of the fact that it's oversized small and the weight-based fee is what's driving the fees up. Yeah, so I mean, you can actually call up Amazon and say, hey, can you go back and remeasure and weigh this because the fees you're charging here seems outrageous, or however you want to tactfully say it to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I've done things like that. Obviously I don't have this type of breakdown, but within Amazon FBA, you could look for any particular item, and
I mean, they'll give you a fee preview. They'll tell you the weight. They'll tell you what the size is, the whole 9 yards. Okay, but recall what I told you here. This is the estimate they're going to give you. But once we pull in your settlements and show what you actually paid in fees, this is what you actually paid on average, which is roughly dollars higher than what the estimate is. So even though you're looking up on the Seller Central site and you're looking at that fee of $13.11, what you're not looking at the same time are the settlements that come in that show what you actually paid. Amazon, has a lot of reports up there, but they're like silos. They're individual reports that are not interconnected. We interconnect these reports and pull data from a variety of different sources so you can look at the analytics like that. Okay, Pablo, we've covered a few topics here. So at this point, have you got any questions?
Are we going to end up using this? Is this an agreement you made with Mike? I'm curious. He's been raving about it, but I'm not sure if we're going to go ahead and...
Pablo, I think part of the issue here is that it's kind of up to you. You and I are supposed to sit here and talk. I'm supposed to show you this, and
I'm going to tell him I like it. I'm going to tell him I like it and that we should move forward with this. I like what I've seen. I think it's going to help me and then help the company overall.
Well, I would tend to agree with you. Of course, I'm a little biased naturally because we're selling the program. But I mean, the whole point of why we did this was, to pull all that data that Amazon provides you, pull it all together so you can actually see this in a new light that actually helps you, get a better vision about your operations over there. Now, I will say this to you, and you probably already know this. I mean, on Amazon, for example, there's no place to put your supplier, no place to put your cost. And quite frankly, Amazon really doesn't care what your cost and margins are or profitability. That's your problem as far as they're concerned. But we do include, the ability to be able to incorporate COGS, cost of goods, with your product so that when orders come in, we can allocate that. At the same time, look at what fees are. So when your settlements come rolling in and the order's been settled, we actually grab your fees and show you the fees for each order. So I can actually show you that here as an example. You have the Order Explorer, and let's look at orders for, let's just last 14 days. Hopefully we got some settlements. All right, we got 1,491 orders. So that's a good amount of orders, right? And just so you know, basically we're dealing with probably over 100,000 orders in the database right now, 60,000 buyers, just 11,000 or 12,000 products in here. So it's a pretty robust database. So what I want to show you here is this. This is an order that's been settled. You can see by the settled date, a settlement has come in and paid this. So looking at this, the total revenue is $1139, or COGS is 404, your fees are 572, your fee percent is kind of high, 5022. But we can actually come back and look at each other order and see every transaction that affected this. So let's look at fee types. You get a weight-based fee added to that, $1.95. That's what pushed your fee percent up so high. So, what we can also do here too, and I can show you, is that we do have a way of being able to come in here and look at transaction summary by item. And so what we want is a list of all products. Got 1,483. So it's 1,483 products in the last 30 days that has a weight-based fee added to it. So you can look at these products and say, well, it's 1,483. That's a lot. So we're paying a weight-based fee of that amount for every time we sell one. And of course, this is, well, I say 1,483 products. That's not quite true. These are 1,483 orders. So I can actually drag this over here, and we can actually group by product.
Oh, nice.
See that? So that shows you. Oh yeah, that's a nice little feature. I'll show you that, a couple more features on that. But what you can do is you can grab the SKU and drag it over here to that, and then you can see every single SKU. So obviously, those with a higher number like 16, these are all different orders. So this shows you all products that have been charged a weight-based fee. And let's go back to the Order Explorer to show you. We can do things like, for example, state. So you can transform the report from Order Explorer to Order Explorer by state. Now you have all orders grouped by state. Pretty slick, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Why would I want to know by state? Because that's
Well, you know, you may not want to know that necessarily for your Amazon stuff. I mean, because obviously, you know, the customers belong to Amazon, and you really can't market or sell to them. But on the other hand, knowing where your sales are coming from and who's buying can be important. Because, I mean, you know, Amazon sometimes will take product and they'll ship it to a different warehouse. Good example, if you're selling a particular product and you notice that most people out in the West Coast are buying it, you know, that could be important for you as far as deciding whether or not you want to make this an FBA item. Because obviously Amazon will ask you to send that product to their warehouses on the West Coast. You see what I mean?
yeah.
So if you're shipping here on the East Coast, your shipping costs are going to be lower than if you're shipping to the West Coast. Something like that might motivate you to say, well, I see that most of the bulk of our orders, you know, are in the Western Hemisphere for this particular product. This may be an item we might want to put FBA. That's if you're not already doing that. Okay.
But I think I tend to only ship to one fulfillment center. It's in the Midwest. It's in Illinois, Joliet, Illinois, to be exact. And that particular fulfillment center, from there, our products, you know, disperse to.
Yeah,
You know,
if they do that for you. They don't always do that for you. You know, sometimes they'll tell you, depending on how you ship quantities to them, sometimes they'll tell you, you know, ship this to warehouse XYZ.
Yeah, I've noticed
or ship it to warehouse ABC. That happens.
Yeah, when I ship low quantities, that does tend to happen, but I haven't done that in a long time. I'm always shipping hundreds and hundreds.
All right. Well, then you have to be careful because you have to make sure, you know, because you're having problems with storage. So, you know, it may be more advantageous for you to ship to the various different warehouses than it is to ship it all there and risk, you know, incurring storage fees. Something you might want to look at. Which, by the way, I don't know if I have any of these or not, but we can actually go back to this previous one and look at, let's look at the settlement item by source. And come over here and reset that. Yeah, here you go, storage fee. So let's apply that. Let's look. We don't have any. Okay. So let's come over here in the settlement accounting summary, transaction summary. Look at this year. What this does, it shows you all the transactions that are charged against your account. All right. So let's see. This is other. Let's do Amazon. So you'll be able to see when you have storage fees for this year, there were no storage fees on this account. And let's sort by that. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. This is for orders. We need to come down to other right here. There are storage fees. Okay, there you go. So yeah, because what happens here, storage fees are charged against your account and not charged against orders. Okay. So you look right here, since the beginning of the year, $3,700 have been charged to the account for storage fees. That comes off your bottom line.
Yeah.
That's huge, right?
Sure is, yeah.
All right, Pablo. So now, you know, we've seen even more things and shown you some more capabilities of Communique. Any other questions?
Let's see.
Some other pain points you might be having, or some other things you do that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, replenishment is my main, seems to be my main thing Monday through Friday.
Okay.
We're currently, or as recently as I think this week, we've started to talk a lot more about storage fees and you know, where I need to modify how much of what I'm shipping in order to be mindful of storage fees. So,
right.
Replenishment are my main issues right now, and I think you've shown me quite a good amount of info here, tools that could really help me.
Yeah, and you know, quite frankly, I mean, I don't know what your storage fees are since the beginning of the year, but look, what we just looked at is an account here that has $3,700 worth of storage fees. I mean, when you consider the price of the software, you'll be able to identify what those products are that are languishing. And what I mean by that is this: I mean, we can sort on the recommended order column right here. Mm-hmm. All right, so these right here mean that you're 212 units over what you need based on sales. So your quantity FBA is 217, and then you'll look at what your time on hand is. Your time on hand based on sales is 2,170 days. That means with a quantity on hand of 217 based on sales, you've sold 9 in the last 90 days. It'll take you 2,170 days to sell out. So you know you're going to get hit on storage fees on that. So we can do something like this. You can run that and then look at what your storage fees are, time on hand, and you can look at these right here and know that, well, if I'm going, say, more than 90 days, anything above 90 days. So we can look at, and we can filter by this, and we can say let's say it's greater than 90 days. You can use any number you want. I'm just using 90 days, okay? So you got 121 products at FBA where the time on hand is greater than 90 days. That's huge.
Yeah, that's too much.
No, that is. And so what we're looking at inventory value-wise is $15,768.99. That's $15,800 worth of inventory sitting out there with a time on hand at FBA greater than 90 days.
Right.
So as you can see here, I mean, even this report here has multiple functions. I mean, not only does it help you replenish, but you can look at your recommended order and look at your time on hand and say, well, give me those, that are greater than 90, and be able to tell me those things I'm most likely to get hit with storage fee.
Yeah, that's important. I definitely like that feature. I'm definitely going to, like if I were to use this, I would work a lot on reducing whatever storage fees were being charged right now. It would be one of my main goals weekly.
So really where we're at right now basically is that I'm thinking, or I'm hearing from you that you seem to be pretty impressed with what we have here and you're satisfied that this will do what you need for it to do?
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. So then the only thing we really need to do is get with Mike and, have him pull the trigger.
I'm going to talk to him now or as soon as I get off with you, and then hopefully he'll communicate to you really soon, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, because I believe from what you've told me here and the situation that you're facing is that, just even a couple of reports here, I don't even use all of them, but just even a couple of them here will go a long way in helping you manage some of the day-to-day issues that you have.
Yeah. My main job here is to maintain the inventory. We've grown a lot in the year that I've been here. We went from 100 items to 500, and with that, a big jump in sales also. And it's been fun, but I think we're all starting to realize also that these storage fees are going to get expensive. I know that there's a lot more to what I'm doing, and I want to get on top of it all. So I think something like this will definitely help.
Well, I tend to agree with you in what you explained to me. This will make, trying to figure those things out a lot easier. And, the key here, I think, is that, by using something like this, I mean, it's consistent. You don't have to worry about errors in the sense that, when you download these things from Amazon and you try to do them Excel spreadsheets, it's that manual process you have to go through and making sure that all your formulas are done correctly and make sure there's no mistakes, if you're doing that kind of stuff. And so that always becomes a problem, having to double check your work, and it gets to be very time consuming, all right? So, with what we have here, just to illustrate, is that we do have an integrator here that runs, goes into Amazon, grabs all the reports we need, brings it on down, and does it all for you automatically. You don't have to worry about it. So that way when you open up Communique and you go run it, you have the latest, greatest info. And we check these reports periodically. There's a reason why, because Amazon will throttle your account if you ask for a report too often. And if you ask for a daily report more often than 30 minutes, they'll cancel those. So you don't want to get yourself in that situation. So we basically geared our utility to be able to work within Amazon's rules, so to speak. So, there's a little bit of time lag between what's at Amazon and what you get down here. I mean, if that is absolutely critical to you, you can always request a report and update the data as of right now. Now, a couple of little pointers I will tell you is this. When you sell on FBA and you sell merchant listed, Amazon will immediately notify you of a sale, okay? But those sales don't come over on the data reports until, one, on the merchant listing, the customer's paid. Okay, the payment's been taken, it's been cleared. So even though they show you up as being sold or reserved, it doesn't actually come to you until it's actually paid. The downside of that is that it can show a sale, put the item on reserve for up to 21 days. So if you don't see it here and you see it on Amazon, it just means that they haven't paid and it just hadn't showed up. The other thing is on FBA, Even though Amazon will show you a sale, they don't actually make it available to you until it actually gets shipped. So those are just the little rules that Amazon has. We can't really do anything about that. That's what we have to work with. But that's generally shouldn't be a big deal for you because, I mean, when you're replenishing these things, you're looking at bigger numbers. You're not looking at precise numbers in the sense that, it's got to be down to the penny, so to speak. I mean, you need to look at a little bit bigger numbers and you kind of round them up a little bit, and so that can be very helpful here. So, so this is pretty much all done automatically. So when you run the reports like this, as long as you have the data in there, we'll get you set up and running. You can easily find what you're looking for. All right, so Pablo, at this point, any other questions? I'm happy to answer any question you have.
Thanks. This is an application that we would purchase from you. How often is the application updated?
Well, I would say, generally speaking, anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, we generally put out an update. And it can vary depending upon any, critical things that come from Amazon. But generally speaking, I think that's the range. I mean, it could even go 3 months before an update's put out if we don't have a lot to do, or we got something major we're doing and we're waiting until it's ready before we release it. But generally speaking, I would say 4 to 8 weeks is a good range.
Right.
But most of what you're doing has been tried and tested for years and years. So, aside from a little feature here or some tweaks here or there, I mean, there generally isn't anything significant for the existing reports, but we do add new features, new reports, new capabilities, that sort of thing. And that's what comes out with the updates.
And then is there like a newsletter that's emailed, like information, or,
Well, we do have, sure, good question. Let's do this. Let me come over here to links, forum. We have a forum you can go to. Release notes. So when we release a new version, we put the notes here, and you can figure out what's been changed, what's been added, what's different.
Nice, nice.
So it's a very simple click for the link. And here, click for the webinars. There you go. We got some webinars here that you can actually go to.
If I have questions, during use of the application, will there also be someone I could speak to?
The answer to your question is we normally take tech support questions at our tech support email address, techsupport@Alitarian.com, and then it helps us to manage those things a lot better. Obviously, if it requires us to talk to you, I mean, we'll set up a time where we can speak with you. Most of the stuff can be answered either very simply in tech support, email, or by posting the question on our. And we do have online web help. We do have videos. We do have webinars. So there are a lot of resources you can use to help out with certain things.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna start checking out. The video that Mike sent to me had more to do with bookkeeping.
But that might have been a webinar. I mean, some of our webinars do talk about settlements, bookkeeping, that sort of thing. We have a whole slew of webinars out there on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm going to subscribe to the YouTube channel and then just start browsing through and seeing what interests me most.
Yeah, I think I sent him a link for that, and and we will be adding more videos periodically. I mean, there's not, when you're working with something like this, there's never enough videos, all right? There's never enough web help, all right? That's where the forums come in handy because a lot of other users, can respond back to you and help you quickly. You know what I mean? Whereas, when we do these videos, I mean, they're pretty much scripted and they're targeted for specific things. But as you can imagine, I just show you this report right here. We went from doing product replenishment to looking at time on hand and determining where you might have problems with your storage fees. So that's a little nuance to this report that generally most people wouldn't know. Of course we would because we wrote the report, and we're familiar with the program. But this is where, little things like that, you just can't get those in the video or the webinars, but they can be useful or found out either through a tech support email or on the forum.
Okay. All right, cool, man. Yeah.
Okay, Pablo, are we good with the questions, or do you have any more?
I think I'm good. I'm good. I have your email, so if I have any more, I'm sure I could email you.
Okay, so you can let Mike know that as soon as he gets back with me, I mean, we can wrap things up and get the stuff set up and running and going for you next week, as early as next week, if you like.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm going to talk to him. I'll definitely talk to him today.
Okay, and I'll send you an installation guideline on some of the things that we need to do. It's not a big deal, but we need to get your API keys, that sort of thing. Don't worry yourself about it right now, but we will send you a checklist with the things that we're going to do and the things that we're going to need.
Okay? All right. And then multiple users can use it? multiple computers?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
great.
No, it can be configured for multiple users. Matter of fact, you're purchasing a site license, not an individual license.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. Thank you very much, Tom.
Pablo, it's been great talking to you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.